Hi there. I'm Mr. Brown. Most of you probably know me, but I'm going to be taking you on a journey through American history this year. And I'm standing in one of my absolute favorite places on earth. I'm in the Redwood Forest in Northern California. Now you might be asking yourself, Mr. Brown, what does the Redwood Forest have to do with American history? And I would tell you that's a pretty fair point. But I will also tell you that these trees that I'm standing in have seen all of American history. And that's what we're going to try to do this year. We're going to try to see all of American history as it was laid out. We're going to try to find the truth of American history, because American history is, well, what we see is the written word. And oftentimes the written word is not exactly accurate. These trees have witnessed history. These trees have witnessed all of American history. And they're pretty darn cool, right? So you have to take, it's like a big puzzle. You know, as students, you think history is dates and names, and there's some truth to that. But 4 plus 4 equals 8 is simple math, and dates and names are simple math. We have to look at history like quantum physics. It's complicated. And that's what we are going to sift through. We are going to look at the complications of history, and you're going to decide for yourself what's real and what's not, because that's what history is. So right now, we live in a pretty hectic world. We live in a world of activism. We have all kinds of movements, and some of them are really, really almost outlandish, right? But activism is nothing new to America. Like, the United States is the United States because of activism of people who were tired of their old government. So we're going to learn about that, and we're going to learn about all kinds of interesting people. Many of them you've heard of. You know, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln. These people are all famous, and you get that. But when you stand in a place like this, you realize that you're pretty small and insignificant. And I think we really live in a world right now where we oftentimes feel small and insignificant. The facts that we read in history are really just ideas and someone else's point of view. It is, when you look at history, you have to discern what exactly it is. And what it is, written history, is what someone else viewed history to be. It's crazy when you think about it. We take so much of the stuff we read as absolute. And the truth is, it's just not. 3 people could look at one historical event and all have 3 different opinions, and none of them would be the same. It doesn't mean that any of their opinions are not factually correct. What it means is that we have to discern the history we read. And I promise you, in this class, that's one of the things we're going to do. You know, we live in this world of social media, and we've had this pandemic where we've been closed off from one another. And the truth is, it's really easy to feel insignificant. When you stand in these trees that are thousands of years old, it's easy to feel insignificant. But while we're talking about insignificance, I want to talk about just some math with you. So, biologically speaking, each of us has 2 parents, our mother and father. And it's a biological thing. I'm talking science right now. I'm not talking family. I'm just talking about biological family tree. You have 2 parents. You have 4 grandparents. You have 8 great-grandparents. So that math is pretty easy. You know, 8 and 4 is 12. And two, there's 14 people you're descended from. And many of you probably have already met your great-grandparents. When you get to your great-great-grandparents, though, there's 16 of them. 8 men, 8 women. Now, out of my great-great-grandparents, 6 of them fought in the Civil War. But I want you to think about the exponential growth. You know, I'm just talking about great-great-grandparents. It's not that far removed. And you have 16 of them. When you go great times 3, you have 32. Great times 4, you have 64. You're starting to understand the math from 64 to 128 to 256 to 512. By the time you get to my relatives that fought in the Revolutionary War, I have over 1,000 people I am directly descended from just in that generation. That's not including adding up all the others. And it's important that you understand that. It's important that you understand how special you are. These trees right here, and I'm going to take a spot amongst these trees so I can lift you up. I wish you could feel what I feel. That is my dream for you, to feel what I'm feeling here. These trees are magnificent. And when you get to the point where you're looking at how beautiful and majestic these trees are, you have to understand how beautiful and majestic each and every one of you are. Like, we're going to talk this year in history about how people immigrated to the United States, because we all came from somewhere else. Some of us came on ships, some of us came as indentured servants, some of us came as slaves. But we all came here. We endured incredible hardships. And when I tell you you're special, let me just say, any bad thing, a plague, a war, a bad case of dysentery could have killed any one of tens of thousands of people in your family tree, and you wouldn't be here. That makes you special. You're here because the mystic qualities of the world deemed it to be so. So what do you want to do with that? What do you want to do with this opportunity? It's an important question that you should be asking yourselves. And it's a question I'm going to ask of you as we are going through American history. This tree is almost 400 feet tall. It's as big around as our classroom almost, and it's been here for more than 2,000 years. So let's put that in perspective. This tree was here when Jesus Christ was born. This here tree was old when Muhammad led his movement. This tree has seen all the history that we talk about in school, and it's been here for all of it. And that's pretty cool that there are living creatures on this planet that have seen everything it is that we've done. Let's take a walk around this thing. I'm not as spry as I used to be. Let's see. And you can see the trees behind me. So we're in a forest of giant redwoods right now. Giant trees. And this is a giant, let me move away from it. This is a giant tree. If we walk around this tree, it is 53 feet, a little more than 53 feet around this tree. To put that in perspective, and I know a lot of you are smart with your math, but if you had a 55-foot, 53-foot tree, the diameter of that tree is going to be like 17 feet. I'm not great at math, but our classroom's 22 feet across. So this tree barely fits in our classroom. Okay. At this point of the whole operation, you might be saying, Mr. Brown, what's the point? I get it. We're special. Yada, yada, yada. I get it. Those trees are super cool. Okay. Thanks for showing them to me. But why? Why this lesson? Why now? It's because the truth is, history is not the historical figures you know. Yeah, George Washington, Martin Luther King, John F. Kennedy. Extraordinary human beings. But history pivots on ordinary human beings. History pivots when ordinary Americans stand out and do the extraordinary. So yeah, I showed you this amazing place, and let me tip and show you some more. Here's the point. In the early 1900s, these trees were being massacred. They were being stolen from us because they're worth a lot of money and they make a lot of lumber. Stephen Mather was the first National Park Director, and he sent 3 of his buddies out. 3 guys that I'm sure you've never heard of. A guy named John Merriam, Madison Grant, and Henry Osborne. He said, go for a drive in a 1917 car through this wilderness and tell me what we should do. And they went for a drive through the same trees that I've shown you today. And they said, you know what? These trees are important and we need to save them. But the government ended up in World War I, and as often happens, it got set aside. It got put away for somebody else to take care of. And that's what these 3 guys did. They started the Save the Redwoods League. They raised money. They found these places and they preserved them. They did it. These were 3 regular guys, 3 ordinary people, like you, like me, that worked together to do something extraordinary. They saved this forest. They saved the forest I've been walking you through. For me, for you, for your children, for their children. A lot of these beautiful trees got chopped down. But these trees that we saw today were saved. We live in a world of activism where we are right now at odds with one another. We spend a lot of time arguing with one another. You know, America needs to be a place where I can vehemently disagree with your point of view, but I can respect the fact that you have it, and I can love the fact that you can express it. You see, that's what America is. That's what America should be. So as we go on this journey together through American history, I want you to get away from the dates and names, and I want you to get involved with the people. I want you to understand that everybody plays a role in history. You play a role in it. I play a role in it. We all have a duty to make sure that we do our part to make American history the best it can be. So I hope that as we go through this class, you will have fun with it, you'll learn with it, and you'll open your minds to what America should be. And you will become part of the solution, not part of the problem. That's my goal. I'm sticking with it, and I hope you all enjoyed your trip through the Redwood Forest. And I look forward to meeting each and every one of you.